been a while since I did this for me. I've been in hiding, hid myself away from me. Mr. Rain Cloud has been hovering over me, but I think it's time he leaves. I think it's time he leaves, 'cause I've been working on myself and getting better. Drinking water with the lemon and some fresh air. Smell plenty on my lips, I'm popping. These girls don't stand a chance in stopping. Because I'ma reach it to the top. Over caffeinated, yeah, never stop. But you were praying I was gonna be a flop. Well, watch me gon' do me.
No sound.
So, cameras fresh and pretty.
Oh, I really can't look anything.
Glimmer as I walk on by, just from head to toe. Eyes on me on the spotlight. Diamonds, dazzle, shining. Got me drifting, I see you white. Shake my head, ain't got no care as I walk away. You got me hooked, baby. Yeah, you're my fantasy. You got the look, baby. Yeah, you're the one for me. You got me shook, baby. Took time for me to see, but you're the one for me. Yeah, you're my fantasy. Look at me now. I'm the blueprint for your bounce back. All these other biddies, man, 'cause they ain't that. Looking in the mirror like, damn, who's she? That's me, gas them. Hey, should've done, I did it. Making money moves 'cause I spend it, so I win it. Keep my circle tight, yeah, they push me to my limits. Praying every single night 'cause I'll be damned if I forget it. Thank you, Lord. You're coming at me with your chitty chat chat. We ain't down for all that, yeah, your drama so wet. Getting rid of that stress and I keep it on check. Yeah, the money getting bigger and the booty getting fat. So I'ma keep it going to the top. Over caffeinated, yeah, never stop. But you were praying I was gonna be a flop. Well, watch me gon' do me.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to welcome you to the Blueprint powered by Visible, the blueprint to perfecting your personal pitch. We are so happy to have you all here tonight. We would love to hear where you're tuning in from, so please let us know in the chat. I'd love to introduce myself and the Young Adult Programs team. I'm Sophia, the Director of Young Adult Programs, and I'm tuning in from Massachusetts tonight, but you can also find me in Los Angeles when it gets cold here.
Hey everyone, I'm Jess Mara and I'm the manager of Young Adult Programs, and I am tuning in from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hi everyone, and I'm Aja Howard, and I'm tuning in from Springfield, Illinois.
Awesome, and we also have Elizabeth, who is our Young Adult Programs Data Science Associate, and she is in Los Angeles, California. So before we begin, I'd like to share a few friendly reminders. We're asking that everyone take a moment and adjust their display name to reflect three things: your name, your role, and your pronouns. You can look at the screen and see what I mean. It's especially important to put down your role, young adult, if you are 18 to 23, mentor or staff, so that we can sort you into the right breakout groups later. We love to ask that everyone who is able to turn on your cameras to please do so. Even though we're not physically in person, we love to create that feeling, and it supports us in creating an intimate, safe, and brave space for everyone. All participants' mics will be on mute until we go into our breakout sessions, so feel free to add all of your positive comments and reactions into the chat box at the bottom of your screen. Additionally, if you need any support with anything at all throughout the event, please feel free to message me in the chat.
Thanks, Jess Mara. And thank you to the Blueprint founding sponsor, Visible. Visible is reimagining what wireless should be: simple, accessible, and inclusive. Visible's social good initiatives focus on racial equity, mental wellness, and civic action. Through its support of Step Up's The Blueprint, Visible is inspiring the next generation of leaders to consider how they can drive change in their communities. You can learn more at visible.com/about us. Thank you, Visible, for launching the Blueprint with us. We very much appreciate it. And every time I do that, I feel like I'm hosting a podcast. So I also appreciate that. Okay, our hope for you tonight is to walk away from the session with an introduction moment that will make the mic drop. We will start with an icebreaker activity, then hear from our topic expert, Sabrina K. Garba. Sabrina will share a bit about her story and share some tips and tricks to guide you to success. You'll then have the opportunity to practice sharing your personal pitch in small groups during the breakout sessions. Mentors, your role today is to model participation by having your cameras on, being present, engaging in the chat, completing the self-reflection exercise, and imparting words of encouragement, solidarity, and support during the mentorship moment breakout sessions. Before we broadcast our magnificence to the world, let's ground in our power. We're going to play an affirmation track for about 5 minutes, more like 4, but about 5. You can turn your cameras off for this and get in a comfortable position. So everybody go ahead and turn your cameras off, get in a comfortable position, draw your shoulder blades down your back, close your eyes. I'm gonna leave my camera on, but you all can turn yours off. Close your eyes, feel the crown of your head stacking your vertebrae, and inhale for 4. Hold it at the top. And exhale for 4.
Welcome to the Success and Self-Worth Affirmations by Natalia Benson. Allow these sacred reminders of truth, of peace, of self-worth to permeate your consciousness. Listen to them in repetition to move past the guard of your conscious mind and allow them to permeate and sink in to the all-knowing inner mind, which is really the magnet for the greatness and the success and the empowerment and peace and beauty and power that you so desire for your life. You are so worthy, and you are powerful beyond all measure. When did you stop believing that you knew exactly what you were doing? When did you lose that sense of identity that knows that you've got it? When did you let go of that truth? That's totally okay. I want you to forgive yourself from the deepest recesses of your being and allow yourself to drop into the ever powerful, ever plentiful now. Just be with yourself for a moment. Be with yourself. Feel into all that you are now. There have been so many key decisions and seeming missteps that were perfectly guided that brought you to this very moment. All of your power is here. All of your power is in this moment. I'm here to remind you that you are so powerful, that you are worthy, that you deserve to live a life that feels phenomenally beautiful to you, that feels fulfilling that feels exciting, that feels outstanding, and it doesn't have to look like anything specific to anyone else other than you. Because as you approve of yourself, as you truly own who you are on all levels, then everyone around you has no choice but to do exactly the same. Own who you are now. Own your power now.
All right. That meditation can go on for a really long time, and we have some really great content for you that we want to share. So we can share that affirmation track with you later. But right now, I'd love to know, how are you all feeling? Those are some pretty powerful words that she shared in that track. You can turn your cameras back on if you haven't yet, because we'd love to see your faces. But how are you feeling? How was that? Let us know in the chat. I loved what she was saying about how you can define, really, she was saying you can define success for yourself, and what that looks like is completely unique to you and doesn't have to be anybody else's definition of success. And that was really, I thought that was a really great way to start this session, our blueprint sessions, and just a reminder. And nice, Michelle, feeling confident in yourself. I love that. Awesome. So we'll keep moving, but please keep us updated on how you're doing and feeling after that. I'm really excited to introduce our topic expert tonight, Sabrina K. Garba. Sabrina Garba is a respected executive culture, communications, and business psychology expert who is passionate about creating environments that help people thrive and reach their highest potential. She's super aligned with Step Up's mission. As the founder and chief executive officer of the Glass Ladder Group, Sabrina leads a collaborative of global cultural experts in the development and execution of cross-cultural organizational culture and leadership development training, research and strategy that increases organizational efficiency. She's also the founder of Honey Hive, an inclusive variety show and leadership community for women who lead, and the Women's Impact Accelerator, which helps to accelerate the success and impact of women entrepreneurs and thought leaders. Through this work, Sabrina has become known for her proven track record in designing and implementing holistic programs that reach organizational goals and objectives in public, nonprofit, and private sector organizations. If you have any questions for Sabrina during her presentation, please send them to me and I will get them to Sabrina during the Q&A portion after her presentation. Sabrina, welcome. I'm so excited to have you. We can all give Sabrina a welcome in the chat too.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. Hello, everyone. I see there's so many different individuals here from different places. I'm so excited to see that you all are feeling confident in yourselves. You're empowered and inspired. I'm seeing relaxed and rejuvenated. That's a beautiful way to feel on a Wednesday evening. So you can all congratulate yourselves already yes, I see some pats on the shoulders and the backs. Let's do that. Actually, you know what? Let's just start the session today by giving ourselves a round of applause. So let's just give ourselves a round of applause for showing up here today. I want to see all the hands clapping. So I think Sophia mentioned Honey Hive. And so really what Honey Hive was created for was really helping women to be able to celebrate themselves a little bit more and to revel in our own greatness, because sometimes we struggle with that. And so I want us to remember that today. Today is an opportunity for you to audaciously and unabashedly revel in your own greatness. So I'm excited for that. Yes, I see it. I love it. I love this. So I am excited to get started. And really what I want to first talk about is today's session is about being able to authentically pitch who you are. I know that the session is actually called the Blueprint to a Perfect Pitch, but I want everyone in here to send a message in the chat saying that you're killing perfection today. So if you can just send a message in the chat at the bottom to say that you're killing perfection, because as beings, we are always growing and evolving and moving. And so what perfect is to us in this moment is not going to be perfect later. As one of my good friends said to me today, it's not about perfection, it's about production. And so it's about us continuing to practice. It's about continuing to sharpen. So I'm so glad to see everyone in here killing perfection. I will give you a confession. Perfect is probably one of the words that I use the most in the English language. I was sitting one day and I realized that when someone says like, hey, I'm going to call you at 5, my response is always perfect. And the unfortunate thing about that is that sometimes when we focus on being perfect, we become paralyzed, right? And so what I want us to do is really look at ourselves and our experience as evolving in an ever evolving journey, and how we talk about ourselves and how we pitch ourselves as that as well today. So let's all commit to knowing that today is just a part of an evolution, right? So I have my Puppet here, so I apologize if you hear a little bit of background bark. He's responding to the neighbor's dog. So I will ask us to move on to the next slide. So as you all know, my name is Sabrina, and I'm the founder of the Glass Ladder Group. I am currently finishing a PhD, a doctorate degree in business psychology. I'm all but dissertation. I just need to sit down and write and finish that out. And I've done a number of different things in my life, all around supporting business owners, specifically women's business owners, helping people from different cultures work together, and really bridging the gap between business and customers and consumers. The things that you won't see in here is that I'm an avid traveler. So I spend about 3 months a year in Brazil. I'm currently in Northeast Brazil now. Outside of my window, the presidential election parade is happening right now. Super excited. It's a pretty intense year for them politically. So I've been able to be here and experience that. And that adds to who I am and what my experiences are in this world and in this life. And is a little bit more about what makes my pitch and what makes pitching in our experiences unique. Our pitches are made up of all of the experiences that make us who we are, everything and everyone that has touched us. So I would love for us to go on to the next slide. Okay, so realistically, there's always a story behind the story. How many of you feel confident and comfortable in your pitch? You know exactly what you want to see. Yes, that's baby Sabrina. I don't think not many people have seen this picture. So you all are probably like the very few people have seen this picture. So how many feel confident in their pitching? I want to see a raise of hands, all who can. Who feels confident in pitching? Okay. So, and then the people who said yes, do you feel confident with pitching yourself every single time you pitch, or some of the time? Every single time. Okay, we got some pictures in here. I love that. So the thing about it is, I believe that we should never expect our pitch to be the same. As like humans, we're energetic, right? So like you show up in a space, you show up in a room, you read the room. We all have a little bit of intuition. We know what to say, when, and how to say it. And so allowing yourself the freedom to let what is right and for the moment to rise is really important. But there's always a story behind that story. Your pitch is what? A 2-line mic drop that makes you sound incredible. But there's so much that comes with that and that allows you to create that pitch. And I like to call that reading the tea leaves of your life, right? We think about what we're doing in this very moment, and we don't always notice that there was always a path that was leading towards this moment. We can be sometimes short-sighted because we're looking to answer the question based off of how we think people want us to respond to it. And so what I want to take you through is the story behind the story for me and how my pitch became what it is. So the first thing you see is being, right? No one ever thinks about who they were as a kid when they're pitching themselves. But the truth of the matter, right? Has anybody been in the moment where you're sitting to introduce yourself and you're like, when I was a kid, to be honest, right? And so, but the truth of the matter is there's just some things about you that just always were. So what you're seeing again is baby Sabrina. And so I call this the being phase. In some ways, this is the beginning of the most authentic version of what your pitch could be. So if you look really closely, you see a doll in my hand and a sack, a bag. The doll, I can remember today, her name is Patricia. I have a deep affinity for Patricia, so much so that my mother bought Patricia for me, I think 5 times. Every time Patricia was lost, there needed to be, and it could only be Patricia. I knew the difference. We went to the store over and over again. And I had an older brother who's about 9 years older than me. And one of the ways he would torture me was to hide Patricia. So my life journey was finding Patricia. The other thing you'll notice here is I've got a sack. I was always a busybody. So my hands were always full. I always had multiple things going on in my life. And I, to this day, I also had, yes, you had a Patricia, yes. And to this day, I also remember myself being so curious and kind of a ham for the camera, right? You want it, like, this is back in the day pre-cell phones. And I'm like, sure, I'll pose, right? I remember those things and can remember people saying, quote unquote, Sabrina's kind of out of this world, because my attention was always in so many different places, right? It was it was the being of me learning, me observing, always being obsessed with what was happening around me and interested. The other piece of this story is that I am technically one of 6. And in my household, there are 4 languages, 4 religions, and 4 different continents. 1, 2, 3, 3 or 4 continents. Well, 2 continents and 4 countries, excuse me. So what that meant is that I was always really curious about what conflict was and why it was happening cross-culturally. So for people who live in cross-cultural homes, little things that seem like, that feels like a silly argument, are based in culture and values. And so I spent my life really trying to better understand why there was conflict across culture, across religion, right? Across cultural dynamics as far as ethnicity, and spent a lot of my teen years figuring that out. And so as I became older, that's the first thing I decided to do. I went to college to study communication and culture to understand why people communicated with each other the way that they do, right? And so that tea leaf led me to be very curious about how the world works. Hence, today I'm in Brazil, right? And in becoming, as I was studying, I had a lot of experiences that made me really passionate about speaking up for individuals who didn't have a voice, right? Individuals who had made challenging decisions for themselves, individuals who didn't necessarily feel like they could be seen in others because their identities were different, because they made choices that maybe weren't seen as popular, right? And so learning and becoming and deciding to speak up and speak on behalf of those people really became a part of my story, right? During that time, I continued my education, I continued learning, but I couldn't help but to forwardly talk about the things that were challenging, the things that would cause vulnerability, and the things that connected us as human beings, right? And so let's just say between this age where you all are, between the age of 18 to 27, I went through that journey of becoming, right? Of really figuring out and showing up in different ways, doing my best to use my voice, not knowing exactly that I was continuing to build who I am and the story behind my story, but using my voice in service to others. And sometimes using that voice based off of what I was taught and putting myself in a box and not knowing it, right? Because that's sometimes what happens. Has anybody else experienced that? Or is anybody feeling like the decisions and the path that they're on is because this is the thing that we're supposed to do next, right? Sometimes we have that experience. And so in the becoming phase, I really experienced that. During this time, I started a business. The Glass Ladder Group is all about helping people from different cultures work together. So that's that connection to being. I looked at my family and I was like, oh, this is a hot mess. Okay, let's just go help everybody else in the world to figure it out, right? And in that time, I learned that I was also passionate about helping women. It's so funny because the last workshop I did for Step Up Women's Network was in 2016. So it's exciting that I continue to be able to support in that way. And today, when I think about it, almost with a PhD in business psychology, really putting together the human connections and the business connections and how we work together. The story behind the story is learning to believe in the tea leaves of my journey and that it is going to continue to take me where I'm meant to be. And that's why it's so important to remember that your pitch is ever evolving, because your pitch is a representation of where you are and who you are today. It means nothing about who you were in the past, and it absolutely means nothing about what you'll be and who you'll be in the future. It is just a snapshot, right? And so I want us to think about, if you showed up in all your Lizzo glory and you had to tell them today who you were and how you want to show up in the world today, who you believe yourself to be, not who anyone else wants to picture you as, how would you talk about yourself? And so that is the foundation of your pitch, right? So with that being said, when I think about who I talk about myself as, it changes every day. When I think about how I pitch myself, it changes every day. But today, I'm really excited to say that I've been able to support hundreds of women and being able to see themselves, despite what the world says they should see themselves as, to be able to achieve their goals, to be able to really connect with themselves and amplify and create truly deep impact for others. I've done that as a business psychologist. I did that as a college student. I will continue to do that until I'm old and gray. And through my work, people have been able to see that. And so we'll kind of go through looking at what it means for you to create your hero's journey now and to think about yourself as a person first. Okay. So in the meantime, is everyone still with me? Are we in any questions? We're good. Okay. So I want you to think about yourself as a person first. And when you're thinking about creating your hero's journey, there's actually loud cheering outside of my window. I hope you all can hear it because this is all for you. When you're thinking about your hero's journey, I always want you to think about being person first. So sometimes we introduce ourselves when we're pitching and we say, hey, my name is Sabrina Garba and I am the founder of the Glass Ladder Group. I want you to flip that, right? I want you to kind of think about yourself as you first. My name is Chelsea and I have helped X, Y, and Z, or I support X, Y, and Z with X, Y, and Z. Sometimes we put our titles before who we are, sometimes whether it be student, but I want you to put your passion first at all times. So if you are Grace and you are Grayson and you are passionate about a particular subject, that is first always. My name is Sabrina Garba, and I was always curious about why people work with each other differently based off of their cultures. I was always curious, and whether that be cultures around gender or that be global cultures, right? So put you first. I like to call this me first energy. I think that's one of the most important things that you can do when you're pitching yourself from a standpoint of power. It's really easy to give our credit away to the organizations or the places which we've been in life, but there's nothing more powerful than who you are and what you're interested in, because that's the thing that sells you. I want you to think about, you can take it back. I want you to think about the things that make your eyes light up. Have you ever had it? So if anybody has ever had a conversation with somebody about something that feels like particularly nerdy to you, it's like nobody else likes this but me. So think about that thing. Like, I want you to talk about it and allow your eyes to light up, and let that be your guiding star to your pitch. Because the people who see you are going to see you and they're going to get it. And if they don't get the specific thing that you're talking about, what they will understand is your passion. What always will resonate is your excitement. So as you're thinking about your pitch, I want you to think about who you are, being person first, who you've always been or who you are sometimes. I had a really great conversation with my niece, who's about 21. And she told me that she doesn't really know what she likes because she picks up different things all the time and puts them down, right? So this week she's playing tennis. And next week she's learning how to rejigger a computer in a car. Is there anybody like that in this room? Yes, I love that. Okay, here's a secret. All of those things are your hobbies. All of those things make up who you are. All of those things make up the life that you created for yourself. Because in 10 years from now, you're still going to remember how to rejigger that thing, or you're still going to want to pick up that racket. It gets to stay a part of you. And that is what becoming is. You get to hold on to every single one of those things as a part of the pitch of who you are. So, and the last piece in believing is separating what you do from, or who you are from what you do, right? So being able to talk about this in a stream in a way that's not necessarily attached to, I work for X, Y, and Z organization, but that allows you to think and dream for your future. So in this moment, what I would like you all to do is to take just 2 seconds to write down 3 things in a person first statement, okay? So you're gonna introduce yourself, and I want you to take a second to reflect on what are the things that you think make you who you are from a base, from being. What are the things that you have always done or you have sometimes done that you think are exciting pieces of who you are? And then what is your greatest imagination for yourself? If you could absolutely be doing anything right now, what would it be? And try to be specific, right? So if you are kind, then where does your kindness normally lead you, right? Do you find that you are kind in specific situations, that you are excited about the idea of volunteering with the infants? It is tough to verbalize. So I think it's really tough to verbalize, and I think that this is great practice, right? So if you can't verbalize it through actions, let's verbalize it through feeling. I always like to say that how we feel is actually louder than it's a louder signal than our thoughts, right? I know we hear like feelings aren't facts. It's true, they're not facts, but they're really great signals, right? So if you're thinking about who you are, I'm looking at the questions. Okay, so I want you to pick one, right? There's always going to be a million. And this goes back to like why pitching is about a moment. I don't want you all to focus now on exactly what to say. It's more about developing how to say what you want to say, because what you're going to say is different, right? When Sophia read my bio, I have 3 brands. I don't have the same conversation with every person. I don't pitch myself the same with every person, but it's the foundation of how I talk about it, how I talk about myself, that actually lends the pitch to where it goes, right? So the first thing I want you to do is, do we have our person first statement? We know who we are. Do we know the things that we generally do and have liked to do and supported others in? Yes, we've got that. Okay. And then, do we know what our greatest imagination for ourselves, what would be the greatest thing that we would be positioning ourselves to do right now? Does everyone have that? Okay, so these are 3 bullets. Yes, we got businesswoman. What kind of businesswoman, Crystal? I'm courageous, I'm free-spirited, and I'm an achiever. Okay, great. So when you're courageous, when you're free-spirited, and when you're achiever, when are you usually feeling those things the most? When do you find yourself most courageous? When do you find yourself most in flow? So if I looked at this, Evelyn, I would say I'm most courageous when I am put in front of a room of people where I need to open up and express who I am, right? That's a big piece of what your pitch is going to say. When are you most courageous, right? When are you most spirited? This lays the foundation for your pitch. Okay. So the next thing I want you all to do now, so we're gonna move forward, and I'm gonna ask you all to be really specific in this space. Let's see how I'm doing on time. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to be really specific. The first thing you're going to do is be audacious. Don't shy away. You are your greatest cheerleader. You're the only one that can talk about what you do and how you do it in a way that elevates you. It's up to you to elevate yourself. It's not up to anyone else to look at you as if you have been elevated. So it starts with you being able to name yourself as audaciously as possible, to be able to call yourself a leader. I want everyone in the chat to write down, I'm a leader. So Crystal, who is a college student, you are a leader, right? I am a leader. Now, I want you all to think about how you lead from the stations in which you sit. So Crystal, being a college student, how are you leading as a college student? Be audacious, right? This is how are you making impact? Whether it's by supporting the people who are in your dorm, whether it's by how much time you're spending supporting people in the computer lab so that they can get the grades that they want to get, or creating accountability circles. Those are all powerful pieces and ability to pitch yourself. The next thing I want you all to do, and hopefully we'll be able to work through how to build your pitch through this, is to create your list of leading moments. Earlier, someone said that this is so hard to verbalize, right? Part of the reason we can't verbalize it is because we're making it up off the top of our heads. But what if you had a list of leading moments? A list of all of the moments in which you've led, all of the moments in which you've made impact, right? So all of the moments in which you've been able to show up that you can just pull on in any situation. So I want you all today to create a list of at least 10 leading moments when we get off of our chat today. Those leading moments will help you to be able to develop and define a pitch that that actually demonstrates your skills as a leader. Okay, so I don't want to make today too much about my experiences because I want you all to process this a little bit, but I'll give you one example. When I was a college student, has anybody heard of the vagina monologues here? Yes, yes. Okay, so the vagina monologues was created to share experiences of women who have globally, who are going through different experiences, whether it be violence, sexual violence globally. And it was really positioned to end violence against women by an incredible woman named Eve. And she created a play. Where women would share monologues about their experiences. And as a college student, I was tapped to bring not just the vagina monologues to campus, but to bring some speakers from across the world to help to end violence against women in certain regions on the continent of Africa, right? Specifically in the Congo. And so that's a leading moment for me. And if you take it all the way today, my variety show where I have women speaking, I want you all to be able to say that I lead by giving individuals a voice through opportunities to speak up publicly, right? So that's that first one. So have your list of leading moments, whatever they may be, okay? And for those of you who are still in school, that leading moment could be creating and being a part of a specific club or extracurricular activity. But know that those moments are leading and they demonstrate your ability to contribute. The next thing is to establish your personal value proposition. So I like to see a personal value proposition as how you add, right? What is it that makes you an add to any situation, whether it be how you think, whether it be how you speak, or it be the experiences that you have that are different. The Name Glass Ladder group is created because I believe that you should take all the things that people perceive as your differences and make them the things that help you to win. So what are those? What is the thing that you add that's different? For me, sometimes it's the fact that I came from a really multicultural home and it allows me to understand people from all over the place, right? So that's the first thing that is a base to preparing your personal value proposition. And second to last is remember the rule of three. This is just a basic comms, basic communications rule. Whenever you're pitching, whenever you're talking about yourself, focus on three things. Get narrow and choose three things to focus on. You are going to talk about who you are, and you're going to give us three solid examples of how you lead, how you impact, and who you are, right? So those are the three examples you give us. Always remember this, the rule of three. And the last one is to practice. Practice with everyone. Practice at every single moment and allow yourself to continue to evolve and know that your pitch is not going to be the same every time you use it. And then we can step into the last slide and know that you're worthy. Step into your light. Every and anything that you say is the right thing and is an opportunity for you to practice and for you to show up more authentically. If you remember who you are, who you've been, who you are, and who you desire and dream yourself to be, you've already got a solid structure for your pitch. With that being said, I will open up for questions.
Awesome. If anyone has any questions, we have about a minute for a Q&A. So if you feel, Crystal, I see your hand.
Hi, Sabrina, Crystal here. I want to ask you this question: how you being motivated with women right now? Because I am like just like you, I'm in college and I am a board member with Active Minds and Hermian Student Association. And how you struggle with like going to school and being proud with yourself and everything, because sometimes I've struggled with myself, out there. So yeah.
So just to clarify, is this kind of, does it feel sometimes like imposter syndrome for you? Or is it about
Kind of.
balancing it all?
Balancing.
Okay, here's a secret. There's no such thing as balance, right? Every single one of us show up, and you show up for the moment. And if you're present in the moment, you do the best you can in the moment, and then you move on to the next one. The most important thing to do is to be present and to know that you're doing your best. Sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because we see everybody else pretending that they're balancing and they've got it all together, but none of us have it all together. So if you keep moving forward, taking one step at a time, and allowing the fact that you made it through another day and that you showed up for yourself to make you proud, then that's
Yes.
all the balancing you need to do.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. Like, you're inspiring me right now. So yeah.
I'm glad. I think we saw Doris.
Yes, I have a question. So could I use the rule of three to formulate the answer to the famous interview questions of tell me about yourself, or like, who are you? What are some tips? Because some companies love the rawness of you, and some other companies like the corporate America answer. So like, what's the best way to answer that question in interviews?
So the rule of three is the rule of three is a basic communications rule. You can use it on anything. Any conversation you've had with someone where you want to teach them or tell them something, you stick to three, right? It's just a human psychology thing. We like and we absorb the three quick, pithy answers. Now, when it comes to deciding how to use that rule, again, it's based off of what organization you're at. So if you're at a place that wants the rawness of you, and you can kind of sense that through the culture, right? Then the three things that you tell them are going to be a little more flexible. So for example, there are some organizations, or if there's some conversations I'll have where I'll say, when I'm not here at work, you'll most likely catch me in a samba costume, right? But that might be one of my three, but I might not say that if I was talking to somebody at a very corporate organization. The other thing, Doris, is you have to figure out what kind of organization you want to work at, right? And so as you're interviewing, if you feel like it's hard for you to answer that question in a way that's authentic, and they are your favorite thing, they aren't the things you have to say aren't your favorite three things to say, then maybe that's not the best company for you, right? It's hard to say, but it's something to consider.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
Of course, I hope that was helpful.
I love that, Sabrina. If it doesn't feel authentic and you're having a hard time answering, then maybe it's not a good fit, and the company is not a good fit, right? Because as Serena said in the chat, interviews are a two-way street. So you, as much as you're being interviewed, you're also interviewing the company to see that they are a good fit for you, because your well-being and the workplace is so important, and always something to keep on top of mind, and to be asking those types of questions or feeling that in an interview or in any part of the application process. We don't have time for one more question for Sabrina, but that was my dog, because we are going to go into our mentorship breakout rooms, but where you can ask more questions. So we'll practice our personal pitches and ask questions about pitching ourselves. So thank you, Sabrina. Let's show Sabrina some love in the chat as we go into our breakout rooms. Much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Oh, we got cut off, my group. I wonder if anybody else did
So did
too.
we.
Yeah. Well, we have some time to share. So Jess Bass, you were in my group and you were just sharing about how to push past any fear or any like internal blocks you have to introducing yourself. So I'd love to hear you finish your thought, and then we can pass to Elle's person who maybe was finishing hers.
Of course, Sophia, thank you so much. For added context, Geronda was making an excellent point about how she always knows that she's bringing value when she comes into a room, regardless of anybody else knowing that. And just that inner confidence was just so brilliant and beautiful. And I was just supporting that note with some advice that one of my favorite female mentors gave me when I was really early in my career, was that you always have a seat at the table, regardless if there's a chair for you, you just pull it up yourself and you belong right there with everybody else.
Love it. Thank you. Yes, you do. Elle, was there somebody in your group that?
Yes, Serena, please feel free to share with the whole group. You were like mid mentorship moment.
That last bit. It's always, you want to be your authentic self, but in the corporate world, of course, there is always that, is it code switching? You know, I did say something vulgar and thing where you can't just be like, hey girl, like, you know, to your coworkers. But you need to be your authentic self, because you can't be like, oh, so-and-so's in the room, now I got to pretend I'm this person because I pretended to be that person. And that like will weigh on you heavily. So if you present yourself as who you really are, you don't have to worry about that as much. Sure, you know, like speak correctly, but like be yourself and show up. And that way you don't have to worry about having to change who you are, depending what company you're at, who is in the room, because I company jumped a lot and I see everyone at like, you know, conferences and stuff, and I'm still the same person.
I love that. Thank you, Serena. That's a good nugget of showing up authentically and owning that and embracing it too, right? Any other mentors or young adults want to reflect on their experiences, feeling some type of way, introducing yourself and having to push past that? Either mentors, some additional words of wisdom, encouragement, support, or young adults reflecting on experiences and how they've done it themselves.
I'll go. So, well, I told in my group about some things, like I part of a mental health club in my college, and helps them most is like, we need to work on mental health for a minute. Like I told them, like mental health is kind of real, you know. I know I say active minds because it's mental health. So but I were encouragement of my group for Jess Mara, and I try to remember the mentor's name, but like I remember later. But is wisdom is work for it more than the hope for it, because like work for it is like motivation of me, like saying like I have that on my room every time I leave to school, and I was like, well, I work for it, but hope for it like with the best of in good days or bad days or anything like that. Just motivate yourself, like no matter what you do, like just be yourself. Don't be pretending in two places at the pot, because you got no two faces. So yeah, I try to say that on the way saying it, because if you have no life, you have no foundation. So yeah, but I learned this, like say like God giving you good lessons in life. So that's my motivation to you guys.
I love it. Thank you so much, Crystal. And what I heard you say was act and move forward and really own your life. And I think that tied back to Sabrina's personal value propositions too, right? When you are doing things and you recognize how awesome that is and how amazing you are, then you can introduce yourself with confidence and conviction because you know the value that you have, right? Like Geronda and Jess Bass were saying too. Mhm. Anybody else? I think we have time for one last reflection or mentorship moment.
I thought maybe because so many people mention how anxious and nervous they are when introducing themselves. Also, I think somebody mentioned imposter syndrome, and that's something I also remind my students. But being anxious is actually a good thing because it means you care to do well and to be good at what you do. You're not going to be perfect, but the fact that you're anxious means that you care. And I would be more worried if you had no nervousness or no anxiousness, because then I'll be like, have you thought this through? Like, have you really thought about what you're doing? And so being anxious is a good thing. Most of the time people don't even see that. So believe in your value, as was said in our breakout room, but don't worry about the anxiousness. That's never going to go away, but that means that you're striving to be better and to do a good job, and that's a good thing. I think we need to remember that.
Awesome, perfect way to close us out. Thank you, Crossy. All right, I'm gonna pass things over to Jess Mara to move us forward through the rest of our session.
Yes, thank you so much, Sophia. Definitely enjoyed breakout room time per usual. So many nuggets dropped, and enjoyed hearing our mentors and mentees, our young adults, talking about what they're passionate about and how they're living out their passions. So for our young adults, it's time for some poll questions. So we want to hear from you. You'll see some poll questions on your screen. Question number 1 is, after this session, my confidence introducing myself in a professional setting has A, increased significantly, increased, not changed, decreased, or decreased significantly. So let us know on the poll on your screen how you're feeling after the session. And then I'll go ahead and read number 2 as well. So in which ways did the mentors, both our speaker and our breakout room mentors, maximize your experience in the session? So please select all that apply here. They helped me feel motivated, helped me learn new skills, helped me gain access to resources, helped me in ways not listed here, or didn't help me in any way. I'll give about 30 more seconds. I think we're good. All right. So our poll is only for our young adults 18 to 23, but mentors, if you would like to tell us about your experience, we would love to hear from you. So please email Sophia any of your feedback. So young adults, are you interested in impacting the future of our country? We are too. Join us on Tuesday, October 25th to network and learn from Step Up members that work in government, nonprofit, activism, public service, civic engagement, and education. Ella's going to drop the link to sign up in the chat, and we really hope to see you there. We have an exciting new digital community app to connect you all to each other, your mentors, and to the rest of our Step Up community. You will get access to additional content, learning, and resources, and you can join today if you are not already a part of our app. Young adult participants, we will share your code in the chat, and mentors, you can email mo@suwn.org or visit the link to learn more about getting your access to our app as well. Passing it over to Sophia.
Thanks, Jess Mara, and thank you so much for joining us tonight in this Blueprint session and for being part of our Step Up community. Your engagement always inspires us. Thank you again to the Blueprint founding sponsor, Visible. Our contact information, Jess Mara, and my contact information has been dropped in the chat. And if you have any questions about our events or want to learn more about getting involved with us here, you can reach out to either of us. I look forward to seeing you again so soon. Have a great rest of your evening.